Rockets. All right. Welcome in to Two-Man Game with Damon and Dom. I'm Damon, that's Dom, and you are the listener. Episode 58. Before we get into it today, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you are listening on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, leave our pod 5 stars, and with either platform, share it to everyone in every way that you know how. Post it on your socials, text it to people, all of that. Episode 58, I'll do a Rockets shout out here. Fred VanVleet, Jayshawn Tate. That's going to be 5 and 8 respectively for our Rockets. Dom, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for asking. I've had a pretty good week so far, and I'm looking forward to. We just mentioned this before we started. I'm going to Lithuania next week, so I'm excited to go there with my mom and see relatives and family and all of that stuff. Episode 58, I gotta go Kobe for 8, and then 5. I mean, I could do Cam Reddish, but I did that last time, I think, because he's
Yes,
just on the
yes, you did.
Lakers right now. So I'll do another 5. I'll do Robert Horry.
Oh, wow.
There we go.
Throwback.
Throwback, Lakers. Two past Lakers players. There we go. Kobe and Robert Horry.
What's Robert
Um,
Ory's nickname?
Horry.
It's Big Shot Bob,
That's what I said.
according to Shaq at least. I don't, maybe it's only a Shaq nickname, but
Big Shot Bob's pretty good. I
I'm
like that.
watching. I gotta tell you, I'm watching Rockets Clippers. We talked about before the pod. I just watched Kai Jones bring the ball up the court for the Clippers. So this this is a timeline.
Man, that is that's the Clippers I want to see. I don't want to watch James. I don't want to watch Harden ball. I want to watch Kai Jones pass the ball to Amir Coffey, and Amir Coffey pass it to, oh my God, what's this really like unknown player? Brandon Boston's on the Pelicans now.
Yep.
Who can I say
Amir
who's on
Coffey
there?
is in right now.
I of course he's in right now.
There's
Um
I will say there's a guy in for the Clippers, number 11. I have no idea who that is.
oh my God. I know, and I remember he's did really well in summer league for them. I'm getting him confused with Jared McCain, who's a rookie on the 76ers.
Yeah,
Is someone junior, I think.
who knows?
Anyways, Chris Dunn. There we go. Okay. Chris Dunn passed the ball to Amir Coffey to Kai Jones. There we go.
This
That's
is
fun.
good podcasting.
No one knows who we're talking about right now, and that's okay. Hey, what shirt are you what are you wearing your Rocket
Light
shirt?
the fuse from the 2022-2023 season. That was a while ago.
So, and just to make sure, Light the Fuse was before Light the Beam.
It was before Light the Beam.
That's what because I remember Light the Fuse for a while. Like at least I feel like 10 years ago I've seen it for the Rockets.
Yeah, it's been their thing for a bit.
Yeah.
And
I'm
the
just
Kings
wondering.
wanted to steal it, whatever.
Yeah, well, they do have a giant beam, which is pretty sick. That's neither here nor there. That's their thing.
What are you donning over there?
The UCLA shirt. I wanted something nice and comfortable.
Nice and comfy. Yeah. Clippers are wearing their in-season tournament jerseys, by the way, this
Are you
game
serious?
in
Okay,
Houston.
okay. I know we're gonna get into it because I
We're gonna
noticed
get
the same
into it
thing. I
later,
noticed the
but
same thing, but because I wanted because so this is about the time we would probably do our city jerseys, but
yeah.
yesterday is when teams were supposed to wear them, but they really weren't. But we're gonna dive into that in a second. Let's talk about some big
Jared
injuries.
asked me again today.
Well, let them know. You told them that, hey, well, shout out Jared, number one. Thank you. Fan of the pod. We love you. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
I just don't, I can't judge them. I can't see the numbers
Right.
and where the names are on the back. I just can't. That's important. Anywho, some injury stuff, some pretty big stuff, actually.
All right. Let's get into it. Kevin Durant suffered a calf injury and is expected to miss at least 2 weeks for the Suns. I believe they were 8-1 at the time of this injury, so not a timely injury for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I'm
not
pulling
good.
up the
Not
standings as
not good
well.
for them at all. They actually did end up winning yesterday though without him, but they were playing the
Yeah.
Jazz, so you know.
And in-season tournament. So the
Yeah.
Jazz winning the in-season, or sorry, I'm so sorry, the Emirates NBA Cup. I keep
That
saying in-season
I
tournament.
in season tournament sounds so much better than Emirates NBA Cup. That sounds so
Yes.
stupid.
Let's just keep calling it that. Let's confuse our listeners. Let's keep calling
Yeah,
it the name it
they're
was
like, what
last
is
year.
the in season tournament?
They're like, "You mean the Emirates NBA Cup?" Damn, you lied to me.
That's not
Um,
what it is anymore.
yeah, not timely for the Suns, but they are 9-2, sitting atop of the West right now, tied with Thunder and the Warriors. Pretty interesting.
Hmm.
Um, let's go to the East real quick. Tyrese Maxey, he's expected to miss a couple more weeks with a hamstring injury. 76ers, I haven't watched him that much. I did watch him yesterday a little bit against the Knicks. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah.
Um, I really don't. I mean, it was Embiid's first game back since his suspension and injury. Um, Paul George looked good, but besides that, I mean, they really need a Tyrese Maxey and they need Embiid to be playing at an MVP level. I mean, doesn't look great, but we'll go into that a little bit later as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to get into someone who's been picking up the slack for them, but
Yeah,
a couple more Pelicans injuries, of course.
of
Jose
course.
Alvarado out for 6 weeks due to a hamstring strain. That's a long time.
6 weeks is a very long time. And you know what's also crazy?
What's
You
that?
know who's also on the same team? Zion Williamson. He
Yeah.
also suffered a hamstring strain and is out indefinitely. I
Yeah.
want to ask you a question because you maybe you know a bit more about injury stuff and lingo. When it says indefinitely, does that mean they really don't know right now, or they mean like the whole season?
And definitely is basically like, yeah, until further notice, TBD.
Oh
Don't
my,
know.
okay.
Yeah.
Because whenever I saw that, I kept thinking like, oh, it's early in the season, but then they keep saying like they're going to reevaluate.
Yeah,
So
they just don't
indefinitely
know.
is that's crazy. Well, the
Uh,
Pelicans are going to be they need help for
so
sure.
it's tough for the Pelicans. They are running Brandon Boston Jr. in their starting lineup. Javante Green. I mean, this is a ugly team right now.
Yeah, it's not the start they would have wanted.
One of my least favorite injuries of the season, though, has been Chet Holmgren, suffering a right iliac hip fracture. He's going to be reevaluated in 8 to 10 weeks. If you didn't see this play, basically he went up vertical as you're supposed to do as a shot blocker against Andrew Wiggins when they played the Warriors, and Wiggins just big bodied him and ran into him, and Chet fell right onto his hip. So. And you mentioned last podcast, you're like, I'm worried because he's really skinny. Well, you jinxed him. It's all your fault.
I didn't mean
So
to. I don't want this. I
now
don't want
he's
this at
he's out.
all.
Hardenstein's out. The Thunder have basically no centers right now.
And but Isaiah Hartenstein is gonna come back
He should be back
soon,
soon-ish.
soonish. I mean, so who are they gonna run right now? Kendrick Williams and like
J-
Jalen Williams?
Jalen Williams, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, not great. At least your guard and forward rotation is pretty solid, but you are gonna be weak in the center. Gonna be pretty small in the immediate future. But I think they'll be fine. They'll weather the storm. Hopefully Chet comes back sooner than later. But you got to be careful, especially with a hip fracture, any kind of bone fracture is you need it to heal totally.
yeah.
Um, and let's talk about some good news injury wise. Is Asar Thompson
Mhm.
has been cleared to play for the Pistons after being sidelined since March with a blood clot issue. So that's a piece of good injury news that he's going to finally be part of the rotation. And Pistons haven't been too bad. So
Yeah.
maybe he'll help them out, bolster their defense a little bit. I think that's
I believe
what
they've
they're having
already won
issues
more
with.
games than when they had their 28 loss streak last year. So
Yeah, because I think they were 2-0, and then after that is when they lost 28 straight.
yeah,
So they're 5-7 right now. They're seventh in the East.
I think they were 4-36 last year before they
Yeah.
hit 5 wins. So
Yeah, so it's all progress. Hey, that's all we wanted for the Pistons. You know what? They could just lose now. They could just lose now. They're fine.
yeah, just go ahead and start the streak.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to talk about what everyone's talking about. Everyone is talking about, and that's the Emirates NBA Cup.
The in-season tournament,
Uh,
the Emirates in-season NBA tournament cup.
There we go. You got to say it twice. The Emirates NBA Cup NBA in season tournament.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so last night
yeah.
was the first night. If you're not familiar with this, it's a fairly new thing. Last year was the first year the Lakers ended up winning. Basically, now in the regular season in the NBA, they have group stages, kind of like they do in soccer. They have 5 teams, I believe, in 6 different groups, and then they all play each other in that group. Whoever wins the most basically advances out of each group, and then I think there's 2 other like kind of wild card-ish teams. So then there's 8 people in like the NBA Cup tournament after the group stage, and then they play just one game elimination, kind of like March Madness, and whoever wins all their players gets $500,000 is pretty much the reward, and the NBA Cup. Ooh,
Oh, whoa. Yeah,
Miami.
and this has been characterized by a couple things. I think the most notable, at least what I've heard the most of, is the courts. So they started this last year and they're continuing it this year. Every team has a unique court and it is very colorful. Usually the court is a brown, or the Nets have like a gray court, which I've
Mhm.
never liked. But yeah, every team has a different court. There's red, there's blue, there's green, there's yellow, there's purple. It's just all over the place. And some colors look better than others, of course.
Oh, for sure.
But oh, for sure. And I think a big thing also about the in-season tournament is when they kind of show off their city jerseys, because the courts correspond with the city jerseys. Well, the game started yesterday, and they weren't wearing their jerseys. I know I mentioned that earlier, but I wonder if it's like they didn't have them ready in time for the players, or I mean, like you mentioned just now, the Clippers are playing an away game against the Rockets, and is that a cup game?
No. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
the cup games, I believe the next round is on Friday.
yeah, so it's
Just a
interesting.
just a normal game.
Just a normal game. And I mean, like, the city jerseys will be worn throughout the season, not just during the in-season tournament, but to debut it not during the NBA Cup. I keep saying in-season tournament. It's so
I mean, I
tough.
continually say in-season tournament, so I don't
Man,
blame
it
you.
makes more sense. It's self-explanatory. In-season tournament. It's a tournament that happens during the season.
Right,
NBA Cup. People could think you're talking about like the finals. They don't know what that is.
right.
Anyways.
That's the
Um,
Larry O'B.
The Larry O'Brien, of course. But let's talk a little bit about these games. And
Let's
I,
do
I
it.
I think you want to take the first one.
I'll take the first one. So, um, the Heat, they absolutely sold against the Detroit Pistons. And actually, Jared pointed this out to me at work. So thank you, Jared. Because yesterday I was at band practice until 9 and then hung out with Autumn after that. So I didn't watch all these games in person. I had to go back and kind of do some research, watch clips and pieces and bits and all that. Um, Here's what happened, okay? It was overtime, Heat Pistons overtime. No Jimmy Butler for the Heat. And um, the Pistons they had about 2 seconds left. I guess they called a timeout. Cade threw a lob from the sideline, and Jalen Duren dunked it. Um, Bam was trailing behind him, so he beat out Bam and tied the game up. Eric Spoelstra called a timeout because last possession, 1 second left, but Heat didn't have any timeouts, so the Pistons got a technical free throw and hit the technical free throw to go up by one. Then the Heat didn't get anything, ended up fouling the Pistons, and I think it was Malik Beasley hit one out of two of his free throws after they fouled him, and that was the game. So yeah, the Heat really made a bonehead move there, giving the Pistons a lob with 2 seconds left and then a technical free throw to basically win the game for free. Tyler Hero had 40. He was kind of going off. He hit a three to tie it up with like 30-ish seconds left. So uh,
Oh, the only thing I want to add is to get it to overtime. He actually sunk three threes in a row to get it to overtime. And
yeah.
I mean, he put so much effort. And yeah, I didn't know. I heard there was a timeout mishap.
Hmm.
I didn't know what the details are, and that's tough. Maybe he couldn't see it in the bottom corner because it was like ABC, or I forget what. Some channel where they don't show how many timeouts the teams have in the corner, and it upsets me so much. It's not hard. Just have seven little dots somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyways, maybe he couldn't see those.
No, he was
That's
blinded.
pretty funny.
Yeah, so the Heat ended up
Um,
losing. Yeah, for in that
yeah,
crazy
and
way. So awesome.
well, happy for the Pistons, sad for the Heat. Congrats to Tyler for getting a 40 piece, even in a loss. It still matters.
Grow your hair back out
Um,
though.
what's up?
Grow your hair back out though.
Oh, I thought you were telling me. I was like, okay, okay,
Just
I
just
will.
on the
Word.
podcast.
Yeah, just like in the middle. Hey, grow your hair out. Okay, geez. Um, let's talk about another kind of like another win that was a bit surprising. The Hawks narrowly defeated the Celtics by one without Trae Young. That's crazy. I didn't know it was without Trae Young. So Jalen Johnson had a triple double. Pretty cool to see. He hasn't had the best start of the season, but still getting his feet under him. He had an injury at the end toward the end of last year. He was out for a bit. So he had 18 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists. Dyson Daniels, 28 points, 7 assists. I mean, this is probably why you brought him over from the Pelicans. They probably saw something and they're utilizing him pretty well. Dyson Daniels right now is averaging 3.6 steals a game. That's 0.1 less than the all-time record. So keep going, Dyson. Keep stealing. He leads the league with 76 pass deflections, 32 more than second place with 44. I was watching the Hawks. Who are they playing against? Was it the Rockets? And I just noticed how involved he was on defense. I saw a lot of deflections and a lot of bad passes. You know what? It was the Mavericks. I'm pretty sure it was the Mavericks.
Yeah, I'd never
Um,
do that against my Rockets, that's for sure.
that's for sure. Yeah, but it's I mean it's nice to see these young players playing really well, able to beat, the favorite so far still in the East, even with Jalen Brown and Derek White combining for 68 points.
Yeah,
So pretty
big
crazy. Good for
big
them.
game.
Given the Celtics just their third loss of the season, but um, it's good for the Hawks. We'll talk about the Hawks a little bit later. Um, Seem to be kind of like in a little like purgatory type thing, but that's a good win for them. Good morale booster for sure.
Yeah. Another good morale booster is when you obliterate the Charlotte Hornets by 25, which is exactly what the Magic did last night. Of course, without Paolo Banchero, who we talked about, um, being out for so long. But Franz Wagner had, I believe, 32. Mo Wagner
Hmm.
off the bench had 18. And LaMelo had 35 in the other end. But just no one else in the Hornets really did anything. No Trey Mann in this game.
Washed.
He's with 35. He's
LaMelo's
washed.
washed.
Okay. Um, yeah, they just weren't getting a lot of offensive output. I mean, I think they had 89 points or something, like 114 to 89 was or something like that was the score.
Yeah,
So, Magic are a very good defensive team, so it makes sense that no one else was really able to get anything going.
yeah, it's good to see the Magic still trucking along even without Paolo. I mean, maybe it's not as smooth, but it's a good win to pick up against the Hornets team that isn't easy.
Yeah.
They're not bad by any means. I actually watched a little bit of this game, mostly the second half yesterday. Knicks and 76ers. Knicks beat the 76ers by 12 in Embiid's debut. I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Josh Hart had 14 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists. Jalen Brunson actually went out at the very beginning of the third quarter with he like twisted his ankle, but he came back. Didn't really have a great night shooting. I got like 8 or 10 points by the end of the game, but I mean, just goes to show, Cat was playing really well. They were getting a lot of they're playing really good defense. Josh Hart was obviously playing very well, and Miles McBride also. Man, what a good NBA player. Deuce, very good NBA
Oof.
player.
Yeah, he's been good this
Um,
season.
yeah, and I think you wanted to talk a little bit about him, and I mentioned him earlier, Jared McCain. He was the leading scorer for one of the 76ers wins. They've only had 2 wins this season. So to have
There's
a
not.
rookie do that, I mean, it's good. But yeah, he was playing really well yesterday. I noticed since Maxi's been out. But is there anything you want to add?
No, yeah, he's just been getting, more of an opportunity with Maxi out at that guard position, and he's looked good. He can do more than make TikToks. So shout out to Jared McCain.
Is that a thing he does?
That's a thing he does. Yeah, he was like
Gotcha.
very known for it in college.
Okay. Now I like him less. I'm kidding.
Ah,
I'm kidding.
ah.
Ah.
Um, Another game yesterday, Bucks took care of business against the Raptors, ended up winning by 14. Um, Raptors have been without Scotty Barnes. I don't know if we talked about this. I didn't realize this because I was wondering, like, where has he been? And one of the games they had early in the season, I think it was against the Nuggets, maybe when they went into overtime. Um, he left the game with like an orbital fracture. It was later reported. Yeah. So I don't know what that is. I feel like I haven't heard about that or like when he's coming back, but they have not looked good without him. They only have 2 wins on the season as well. But your man Grady Dick, 32 points in this game.
Man, this is honestly, it's crazy how to me he was just a non-person to me before the start of the
You're
season.
like whatever.
Literally. I
Hmm.
literally did. He was like a ghost on when he was playing against the Spurs last year, and now he's like. I mean, I've watched a few Raptors games because we talked about the last pod, picked kind of three like surprising teams, and I picked the Raptors for the East just because I'm really enjoying, even though they're not winning games, they
Yeah.
are. This isn't a good example, but they're playing really competitively and really close.
Hmm.
And the commentators talked about it a lot, how much progression there has been for a lot of these younger players. RJ Barrett has a bigger role with the Knicks, and he's looking great. Grady Dick, so much as he's just made changed his game so much, and I'm excited for when everyone's back and healthy. Bruce Brown and Emmanuel quickly, of course, and Scotty Barnes. The Suns handled the Jazz by 8 yesterday. John Collins had a double double, 29 and 10. I feel like I haven't seen those numbers for him in a while. So,
Yeah, I was
um,
looking through and I was just surprised. I was like, what?
yeah, that's super random, but good for him. Ryan Dunn, who is a rookie on the Suns, a
Mhm.
very defensive-minded rookie. He's been starting in place of Kevin Durant, and he's looked really good. And I mean, the biggest question for the Suns was their defense, and Ryan Dunn has filled in when they were playing against the Lakers. I was watching him a lot. He was guarding the best player on the Lakers, and both games. The first game, the Suns lost, but second game he was a big reason why we just couldn't get a lot going. So it's nice to see um, him get a time to shine, and they're winning games still too. So it's important.
Yeah. No, yeah, I like to see that they can win without Kevin Durant, even if it's only by 8 against like one of the worst teams. But
You get
you
what
know,
you can. I mean, John Collins. I mean, come on, dude.
John, yeah, he was unstoppable.
He's
Um,
unstoppable.
I was watching the Rockets game and Jalen Green almost threw down on somebody, but
He didn't. What's the update? Update, man.
they're up by 6 right now.
Fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter, yeah.
All right, playoff.
Uh, all right. Warriors and Mavs, probably the game of the day yesterday. It was very intense. Clay has returned to Golden State. I remember when we talked about this and before the season started, and we were like, "Why this date?" I didn't realize it was an NBA Cup game. That makes it a little more special.
That
We
makes
were just like
sense.
in November. That's so random, rather than like opening night or Christmas or something like that. So it did turn out to be a little special. He was greeted by fans. They were wearing like captain hats, because he's like a big boat guy and talks about that. So that was cool. And throughout the game, they were like cheering for him and stuff, even though they're Warriors fans, obviously. So it was nice to see. And he had a pretty good game. I noticed as I was kind of, yeah,
Just to add to that about the fans, they also had a tribute video to him before the game.
of
So,
course.
just wanted I wasn't sure. It's nice though that they did that. Especially how things shook down over there. So,
Yeah, you have
very,
to
very
for
cool to
him.
see. Yeah, well deserved. Sorry, continue.
How dare you? But I noticed when I was watching back through the game that Steph was guarding Clay early on. Even the first possession right after tip, he like went right over to Clay to be on defense. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And it didn't last all game, but
Yeah,
it was just like I think he kind of wanted that experience. But speaking of Steph, he was crazy in this game. I think he was not letting play go into Golden State and win. He seems like he was on a mission. They were both on a mission. They both were like, "We're winning this game." They both clearly wanted the ball, clearly wanted to be the guy. But Steph down the stretch, very clutch. Obviously hitting free throws when getting fouled, making contested layups, a couple down the stretch, and then long threes. Made one over Lively to kind of, I think, go up by 4 with about 20 seconds left, and did
yeah.
the night night
The
thing
good
as he
night,
does.
and
Yeah.
also, yeah, he screamed too, and I think he even did
The
"This is
scream
my
was
house."
crazy.
Yeah,
He looked angry. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I have it there. He also got very passionate. I screamed at the camera after they called the timeout and all that. Um, but next possession, actually, Quentin Grimes has a big contested three, like out of nowhere. He fell down on his shooting and everything. I think it was Steph ended up hitting 2 free throws, and then Luca. Yes, the Mavericks. We're talking about the Mavericks. I haven't mentioned Luca yet. Um, Not a great game efficiency wise. I think he did have like 31 points, but from three he was like 2 of 8 or something like that. He took an ugly, ugly three to end the game. I mean, it wasn't even close. I don't even think it hit the rim.
It
Um,
bricked it to the left, yeah, or
yeah,
something.
it was gross, and yeah, I feel like in this situation maybe you have to get that shot to Clay, or or something like that just to see. Yeah, that would be crazy, but kind of a sad way to end, but a close game, an intense game, and that's what you want to see on these big kind of national games.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I caught the end of the Knicks 76ers, but I couldn't watch this game. I went to a friend's comedy show. Supporting friends, right? Crazy.
Yuck.
And I saw when I got home, I looked this up and I was disappointed to see first that the Warriors won and that it was a really good game. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, this good games are good for everyone, and it was nice to see, that he Clay was welcome back. It was not bad blood or anything. That's just how things go in the NBA sometimes.
Yeah.
Last, surprisingly, actually, the Blazers beat the Timberwolves by 14. Robert Williams, in his third game this season, he had 19 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 blocks off the bench.
Yeah.
So do you know, was it DeAndre Ayton starting and then Robert
No,
Williams?
DeAndre Ayton was out. It was Klingon
So
starting.
Klingon starting.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Blazers, a team, they shot 51% from the field, 56% from three, and 90% from the free throw line. So they're in the 50-40-90 club.
Yeah, I think it was like 18 of 35 or 30. Yeah, something like that. Something
It's
crazy.
hard to lose games if you're sinking that many threes. Did you know is anyone out for the Timberwolves or what was going on for
No, I
them?
mean that they ran Ant, Julius Randle,
Yeah.
Gobert,
Huh.
Nas Reed had like 28 off the bench for them.
It just wasn't enough, huh?
Yeah, I mean they just look
Ew.
just kind of weird this year.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about it. I unfortunately haven't watched a lot of Timberwolves. I do love them. It just hasn't really worked out that way right now, but I definitely will.
And who
Um,
just yammed on Terrence Mann to go up six with 47 seconds left.
there we go. I got a notification too that it's a close game in Houston, and Amin Thompson has 18 points, 11 rebounds, and 1 block. It's a pretty good
Oh
stat
yeah.
line.
Oh
Pretty
yeah.
good stat line. Um, we're gonna go into our team updates real quick. I don't have too much to talk about with the Lakers. They're playing the Grizzlies right now, who they lost to pretty badly last week.
Yeah.
Although without on Anthony Davis, so didn't really have any. We had Jackson Hayes and Christian Coloco, so
Of
cool.
course.
Of course. Yeah. So right now, as of today, we're 6-4. We'll see after this game if we go up 7-4 or we go 6-5. One interesting thing that actually has started happening since I think the last game or even against the Grizzlies, they D'Lo's coming off the bench now.
Mm,
D'Angelo Russell's coming off the bench and Cam Reddish has taken his place in the starting lineup.
interesting.
I think that's to add a little bit more defense off the cuff. And if you look at the numbers, like when Austin Reeves and D'Lo are on the floor together, it's not great, but when they take turns, it looks a lot better. So I
That makes
think
sense.
uh, I think that's something that the Lakers are trying to kind of play around with. And with Anthony Davis being out that game, it was kind of tough to obviously win without your best player, second best player.
Best player this
Um,
season.
yeah, for sure, definitely this season. Although, LeBron is still doing LeBron things.
LeBron
And
James.
he is playing this. I just wanted to make sure that Anthony Davis is in. I think it was something about his eye. He got hit in the eye, and I saw a report that he
Oh,
just didn't want to wear goggles. So he like refuses to wear
I can't
goggles
look
on the
like an
court.
idiot out there, guys.
I mean, you can make him look. I mean, Reggie Jackson looks
I
sick.
can't
Come
look like
on.
a god out there.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm not Reggie Jackson. I can't do this. One other thing, which is so funny, this is a news story because if it was any other player, it
Did
wouldn't
you
be.
did you see this before I put it on there?
Yeah, I saw them talking about. I saw his first bucket. So the Lakers assigned Bronny James to their G League affiliate, the South Bay Lakers. And I didn't know this part though, that the plan for now is to only have Bronny play home games as he shuttles between G League and NBA. Ridiculous. Just have him play G League games. He's not ready for the NBA. He's just not. We have enough guards.
LeBron wants him right here. Said you're not going anywhere, son.
Yeah,
My
it's
son.
my son. It come on, son. It is strange. And again, like I said, like this wouldn't be a news line. No one would care if it was Mac McClung
Right.
or it's just the fact that it's Bronny. And
G League MVP Mac McClung.
I mean, I love Mac. It's just the first name I thought of who's in the G League.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, yeah. For sure.
But yeah, it's about the Lakers right now. It's been a strange start of the season. It was strangely optimistic and then kind of pessimistic. Then, um, So, oh, also, I just got a news thing. Can I give you some news real quick?
Let's hear it.
Spurs star Victor Wembanyama rises up and drains the mid-range jumper, giving him a career high 50 points tonight.
Wow. And they're playing the Wizards right now, so that makes sense. Um,
That makes
50
total
against the
sense.
Wizards is that's awesome though.
That's really cool to see. Wow. I just
Wimby.
Wemby. I just got the notification. Let's see if they. Oh, I got the Rockets one, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
I was
I
like,
know.
I just saw that they won. So, oh, and yeah, Spurs are up by 6. Anywho, sorry to derail. Hey, Mitch, talk about the Rockets. Did you just update their record?
I sure did.
Nice. Tell me a little bit about the Rockets right now.
Yeah, the Rockets, we are currently 8-4 now after just beating the Clippers. Just happened. Kevin Porter Jr., by the way, 6 minutes, 0 points, 0 assists, 0 rebounds. You love to see it.
Scoot
Um,
out of Houston. Scoot out of Houston.
yeah. So the Rockets we're doing pretty good. 8-4, definitely cannot complain about that record. Back on November 6th, we crushed the Spurs by 27, just absolutely demolished them. That was nice to see. The Thunder absolutely stomped us though by 26 on November 8th. Shea and Chet, before Chet was injured, combined for 58 points against us. So hard to stop those two guys. We barely edged out a win over the Pistons on Sunday, which was kind of crazy. We only won by 2. There was a moment in this game though where Jalen Green absolutely yammed on Cade Cunningham and then screamed in his face, and then he got a tech. So you hate to see that.
You keep saying yammed. I think this is
Yammed.
like the fourth time you said it because you said you like I just watched Albert Shingun almost yam on or Jalen Green. Why do you keep saying yam?
I
I
don't
like
know.
don't.
It's a word that people say. It's a jammed. I don't know.
Interest. I've never really heard it. I just assumed you were just saying jammed, but with a weird accent.
Stop making fun of me.
I'm
Um,
not making fun of you.
uh,
I'm just trying to learn the English language. Anyways,
we beat the Wizards back to back. We beat the Pistons on Sunday, the Wizards on Monday by 15. Shingun had a really good game, 27 points, 17 rebounds. That's nice. And
nice.
then we just beat the Clippers during this podcast. So yeah, a good little win streak we have going right now after getting destroyed by the Thunder. Um, I do want to say I've confirmed Tari Eason and Amin Thompson being my favorite Rockets. I know I've said that probably, but like it's for sure. After watching them, I'm like, oh yeah, these guys are so fun to watch. So athletic, defensive, running around, watch them just make, hustle plays, crazy blocks, things like that. It's just nice to see.
Yeah, I would really love to add Cam Whitmore to that. He just doesn't get enough minutes, right?
Yeah, he hasn't gotten enough minutes yet. Yeah.
Just a shame. But yeah,
Um,
Tari Eason, I haven't watched a lot of Amin Thompson, so I'm still we love Tari Eason. We talked about that. So
yeah.
yeah.
And then I did want to point out Jabari, I've noticed has not been. I was just watching, and I was like, it just feels like he hasn't like been hitting this year. So I went and looked at the numbers. Shooting 39% from the field, 25% from three. So yeah, he's struggling on offense. Still a good defender, good rebounder because Şengün is not always a good rebounder. So and it's good to have him for that. Good spacer still a threat. His teams will respect, but just hasn't put the ball in the bucket as much as he has in the past.
It's his third year, right? I
Um,
think so, right? Because last year was when we saw
yes,
summer
yes, yes,
league.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
and then it was
yes.
this. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, third year things happen like this. When I was watching the few Rockets games, I was kind of interested to know like who is their closer because a few of the games I watched were close and like see like Jalen Green had a couple tries, Şengün had a couple tries, and then Jabari looked the most out of I don't know like out of place in that. Like I think every when I saw him get touches, he kind of lost the ball or took a bad shot. So, I think it's just a part of maturing in the NBA. He'll get better though, for sure.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I'm glad to see your Rockets 8-4. That's nice to see.
8-4, baby. That's right, as
We love
as
that.
predicted.
As
Um,
predicted. Let's go. So panic meter for every NBA team, Rockets 1. Like you're not worried at all?
yeah, we're gonna be fifth in the standing right now, so
Pretty
that's pretty
cool.
huge.
That is pretty good. And then once we beat the Grizzlies, we will be the sixth seed probably. because right now we're seventh,
What's
right
the
there.
score in that game? How's that looking for you?
Right now it's like 20-10, I think we're winning. 20-11, we're winning. So good
Wow.
start. But the thing about the Lakers, I've noticed this season, we get off to really good starts. And then, I mean, you know what? It's not this season, it's every season that I've been watching them the last few years. We get off to really good starts, and then third, fourth quarter just goes down in the toilet for whatever reason. We just lose that energy. So hopefully we'll keep it up. But yeah, I mentioned this quickly. And I think our segment today, because we don't have city jerseys yet, we'll get to it next week, hopefully. They'll all be out. Um, the panic meter for every NBA team. So at least how this works for us,
Round
we're just going to
two.
go round two. So we're going to go through every team, about 1 minute each, 30 seconds each, roughly. We're not going to cut each other off like that. But just kind of give our thoughts. Five is going to be we're really worried. We're really panicking right now for this team.
Yeah,
One, we're not worried at all. We're not worried at all. And as a fan, you shouldn't worry type thing.
right.
Um, how do you want to do this? You want to go random in order? How are we feeling?
Oh, you know.
Oh, you got a different wheel this
Oh, I got a
time.
different one. I'm tired of the other one. I want to change it up a little bit today
Let's
for
do it. Okay, let's
for
do
the
it.
listener. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if I shared what I wanted to share. I want to share. I want to make sure I share my screen instead of. Yeah, I want to share my whole screen so you can see our beautiful faces as well.
Oh, there we And also now it looks even better now because I just see the wheel instead of everything else. So
Right.
nice. Okay. I
All
am
right.
ready. I'll do the first one, I guess.
All right.
Um,
Already turned my Chrome sound off. You know, I'm not gonna get jump scared by any sound effects here.
not
Uh,
today, not
not
this
today.
time. Who do we got?
All right.
Bucks starting on a 76ers. Okay, cool.
76ers. Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, this is a very good one. So here I'm
How do
gonna pull
I
up a little
all right, I don't know how to remove this, but okay.
uh oh, it just stays.
It just stays. I'll do
Ooh,
this.
there you go. Just makes the Wizards one way bigger. It's so funny.
Change.
Anywho, so 76ers, while you do this, I was gonna pull up a timer, I'll do it in a second. But the I would say they're at a four. And the reason why you're at a four, you're not at a five, is because you do have an MVP caliber player. Two, technically, I would say Paul George and Embiid on your roster. Tyrese Maxey's been out for a bit. Even Embiid and Paul George were out for a lot, so you lost a lot of games without them. But the thing is, I watched the game yesterday and didn't look great. The good news is you have people like Jared McCain that are playing really well. Caleb Martin hasn't looked the best, and even like Kelly Oubre hasn't looked like amazing, but they're not supposed to be your main guys anyway. They are supposed to be backing up Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. Once they're nice and healthy, um, I'm sure they'll be fine, make their way in the playoffs, but it might be through the play-in. So I would say a four. It's not a five because you still have some really good quality players on your team. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll go with a three. I'll go with a little less panic than you. And really the reason starting off 2-9, obviously not great, not what you want to see. But I do think because Paul George just returned to the lineup a couple days ago, Maxi's out. The big three haven't even played a game together yet. Embiid just came back himself. So you haven't got to see the team in its full potential. Yes, I do think you should be a little worried because 2-9 is like, you should be able to scrounge out some wins. Like they lost against some pretty poor teams. And the role players haven't looked as good as I think, but that could be because they're a little overextended right now, doing a little more than they will once the full rotation is together. So I'll say about a three for me, but I could definitely see this getting worse if it doesn't turn around soon.
Cool. Also, I'm going to keep track of what we say for each team.
Sure, sure, sure.
Cool. Let's see what we got next.
Yeah, the full screen was not going to work for me to actually be able to remove these. So
That is okay.
Hawks, but I can leave it just like this while we talk and you can tell what team we're talking about. Hawks. All right,
Yeah,
I'll go
perfect. Let's
Hawks
do
here.
it.
Hawks 5-7 right now. They have a decent record. I think for me on the panic meter, I'm gonna go with about a two. Um, and I think 5-7 obviously not great. They're not supposed to be a great team this year. I think you've seen a lot of promise from some young guys like Dyson Daniels, who we talked about earlier, like um, Jalen Johnson, who just had a triple double in the in-season game. Trey Young has looked more kind of natural in himself, playing Trey Young basketball. It's not going to be a great season. I don't foresee them making a long playoff run or anything like that. But I think they're kind of developing and getting some chemistry with the new version of this team, post DeJounte Murray, and I think that's fine. I think having a whatever year, maybe first round exit is like the highest I could see this team getting. But even if they miss the playoffs but make the play in, like I think that's okay for where this team is at. So not a lot of panic for me.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Not a lot to add. I was going to give him a two as well. Trey Young is looking a lot more like himself, like you mentioned. Dyson Daniels is looking good. I like the additions of Larry Nance Jr. There's some older players still on the roster. I'm looking at Clint Capella mostly, and Onyeka Okongwu will slide into that eventually. But I think it's where they're at is okay, and they are winning, pretty tough games. So I'd say a two as well.
Yeah. Good. Good man.
Good, yes.
I didn't take the Hawks off. It almost landed on them again.
Okay, well, you'll do it now. So we got the Nets. Okay, so Brooklyn Nets. I have them at a where do we go? I have them at a two. And this is why I have them at a two. Normally it would be a one because they're supposed to be bad and everything. But let me tell you where the Nets are right now in the standings. The Nets are ninth in the standings. They're 5-7. Look, they should be toward the bottom. They're trying to draft Cooper Flag, just trying to get really good prospects. So that's why it's at a two. I think they need to pick the direction. Are they trying to make it into the play-in? Are they just trying to be really bad? Cam Thomas is looking great. Ben Simmons is back to playing basketball, not like all-star level by any means, but he had like 12 assists the other night, which is really good for him. And Janice Schroeder actually looks pretty good. Cam Johnson looks good for this team as well. We'll see how long players like that stay there. But that's why I have it two. It's like just pick it. It's still weird. Are they picking it? They're kind of doing what the Jazz have done, although they're not like winning games like crazy like the Jazz have done the last 2 years. They just need to pick what to do.
Yeah, I would have the Nets at a one. Great start to the season for them, 5-6. No one expected this team to win a lot. I think their over-under was like 19 and a half or 17 and a half, really, really low number. The reason I have it at a one, of course, because like you said, this team should be tanking, probably, and I think they will eventually. Why this is really good for them, though, is I think this makes their assets look really good. I think it will be much, much easier to trade a Dorian Finney-Smith, a Cam Johnson, even Cam Thomas if they decide to go in that direction. Ben Simmons, maybe if they like, he's looked like a real basketball player this year, um, because the team is looking good. If this team was 0-10 right now, it'd be a lot harder, I think, to trade some of these assets. So because they are
Yeah,
playing, Dennis Schroeder, I should have mentioned too, because they are playing pretty well, I think it'll make them be able to trade, kind of get some picks back, some young players back, and that's what you want to do for the Nets. So great start to the season for them. No complaints from me.
nice. That was a really good point. Good job. You know
Thanks.
basketball. You know basketball.
I know
We know
ball. I'm
basketball.
a baller.
We ball. We hoop. We go crazy. All right,
All right. Utah, the Jazz. I don't want to talk about the Jazz, but I guess I must. Um, the
just 30
Jazz,
seconds.
I'm gonna have the Jazz. Oh, this is tough for me. I'm gonna say four, which I know is high. I know it's high. Here's why. Taylor
Okay.
Hendricks out for the season. Laurie Markkinen, he signed for the whole year. You can't even trade him. And guess what's happening right now? You're losing so badly. His trade value is going down because he is not contributing to winning basketball right now. Same thing goes for John Collins, those other guys that they may want to get rid of eventually. I talked about this last time when I brought up the Jazz. The way they're losing some of these games is horrendous. And I think it's like the opposite point I just made with the Nets. They're just making everyone look worse, and all their value will be worse. I don't think they'll get back as much as they probably want to for them. And then the other thing, none of their young guys have looked great. Some of them have looked fine, but there's not a person on that team. Like if I point to um, the Trailblazers, for example, I know Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp, maybe Scoot eventually, Klingon. Those are going to be my future pieces. There's no one on this team aside from like Keontae George, maybe that I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's going to be part of the future of this team. Everyone else hasn't really shown me enough for me to be like, yep, that's going to be a long-term player in the NBA. So that's why I'm more panicked than I think I would be given the 2-8 record for a rebuilding team.
Got it. That's really good points. I would give it more like a two because I think at least I think what you bring up about the young players is a very very important. The good news is they have a lot of picks still. They will be able to find these young players. If none of them are on the roster right now, they will find them soon. Larry Markkinen, John Collins, yeah, they're not contributing to winning basketball, but I think they will get something good for them in return. A lot of picks. I mean, with the Nets, I just think the level of player like a Larry Markkinen is higher than a lot of what like the Nets might have. And I mentioned them because they're in similar boats, right? They're trying to tank. They're trying to get in the top of the draft next year. So that's why I just have it more at a two. Like it would be a one, but I think it's a lot of good points about the future. Like right now, I'm not worried. It's more like what will this team look like a year or two from now,
Right.
and how is this going to contribute to that?
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, we're both really smart. We know what we're talking about.
I,
Can
s-
I just say I'm
I
going to say
swear.
one thing before we get to the next one? I think you and I also are better at watching basketball than last year. Like I know a lot more what I'm talking about now when I'm talking about teams.
Yeah.
Would you agree? I think we both. At
Yeah.
least I'm better.
Proud of you,
I
man.
think you're better.
Proud of
Hey,
us.
hey, I'm proud of us. We're both really good. All
From
right, tell me about
bad team to bad team to bad team. Tell me about the
the
Pistons.
Pistons. Okay, where did I have do I have any notes? I have no notes. Okay, so Pistons. I'm not worried about them at all. I'm gonna give them a one. Let me tell you why. They already have more wins than they had last year at any point. Well,
Last
not
year
any
in
point.
last year in like February.
Yeah, so I'm not worried that much about them. Cade Cunningham is looking really good. I mean, I actually listened to the game against the Lakers. They're beating good teams.
Yeah.
Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey was a man possessed during that game. I don't know what was going on. Um, and you got Jalen Duren, who's looking really good. Really enjoying that. You're gonna have Asar Thompson coming back very soon. Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr. look pretty good actually on this team.
Yeah.
Fontecchio is still getting his. I expect him to look better. He's not looking the best, but he will get better. And I'm not worried about the Pistons at all. I'm glad it seems like they have a direction at least, and they're having fun and they're playing good basketball. And yeah, they're 5-7. The record speaks for it.
Yeah, I'm at a one as well. This is my counterpoint again to the Jazz. This is how you do it. This is how you lose. Um, you lose competitively or you win some competitive games. And I think it's okay for this team to win some competitive games because this is like year 4 or 5 of their rebuild. They don't want to have another 21 season. I'm sure they want to make a play-in push. They want to start those winning habits with those guys. So I really like their start to the season so far. I know they have a kind of a lot of new pieces you mentioned with some of the veterans, Tim Hardaway, Malik Beasley, for
Oh,
example,
Tobias Harris
Tobias
also looking
Harris.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mention that.
They got Ron Holland in this year. Asar Thompson's about to come back. So a lot of chemistry they have to develop, and I think they're doing it so far in a pretty good way. Right now, 1 second left. I can't tell if this game, what has happened in this game. Oh, okay, it's going to overtime. Pistons Bucks going to overtime right now. So
Yo,
another
wow.
game against
Wow.
a good team, quote unquote, because
Oh,
we'll
we'll
talk
get
about the
there.
Bucks, I'm sure, but that's what you like to see. And even like I said, the loss they had against the Rockets by 2 points, and the Rockets have been pretty good this year. So all these things said, not worried about the Pistons at all. Jared, you'll be happy to hear they're at a one.
Yeah, JB Bickerstaff is doing a good job as the head coach so far.
Crazy when you have a coach that cares about what happens to his
Well,
basketball team.
yeah, we'll talk about the Cavaliers too soon.
Oh yeah,
Man, crazy.
the Heat.
Tell me about the Heat.
All right, the Heat are a tough one. I'm gonna say I'm gonna give the Heat like a four, which is pretty high. They're 4-6 right now. The reason I would be panicking is because Jimmy already unavailable for games here and there to start the season, not anything long term. And aside from that, you have Bam, who was just on the Olympic team, which they hung a banner for, which was kind of crazy. I don't know if you saw that.
No, they hung the
They they
banner.
hung a banner, Bam Adebayo, Team USA. Yeah, it was yeah. Anyways, um,
Don't they have Michael Jordan's number retired too? I
they have
mean,
Michael
it's
Jordan, some are retired. They have a band. The first 3 days, let me take a pause for my 30 seconds of Heat
yeah.
panic meter. The first three home games they had was Dwayne Wade statue, Pat Riley like ceremony honoring or something like that, and then Bam Adebayo like jersey thing. Like first three games of the season, they had a thing every game, which is funny. Um,
That is funny.
anyways, yeah, the Heat I said for because the Jimmy thing, it doesn't seem like it's resolving. Doesn't seem like he's having the great season I think he needed to have for them so far. Bam is good. He's sometimes great. Just if you have just him as your guy, I don't know how far you get with that team. And then after that, like Tyler Hero's fine. He's having a pretty underrated start to the season, I think. Then it's just kind of guys here and there. Jaquez is fine. Jovic is fine. But there aren't the pieces here for like a long-term championship team. But there also are not the pieces here for a rebuild. And he don't really strike me for a rebuilding franchise. So right now they kind of just seem like they're in that 6 to 10 seed purgatory, maybe first round, second round exit for the next couple years is really as far as I can see this team go. Um, Love that they made the finals in 2020 and 2023. Those are both great years, surprising years both times. I just don't see that happening again, and I don't know what this team would do to kind of get to that place again.
Yeah, I'd give the Heat a 3 just because, they do have still good players and this is finally going to be like a full year with Terry Rozier on your roster. Um, although I don't know, I haven't really watched any Heat basketball, so I don't know if he's looking good or bad or what. But I agree that they are in this weird purgatory of like always going to be a play-in team, kind of like the Lakers, honestly.
Mhm.
Seems like they're just never cannot escape this play-in tournament. No matter what moves they make, if it's either injury or players they lose in the trade. But I would say a 3 for the Heat. They're a very interesting team right now, but Tyler Hero's looking great. So can't deny that.
Yeah, for sure. Spit it.
Let us continue. All right. Who am I talking about? Oh, yes, my favorite team. Jesus Christ. Charlotte Hornets. I'm gonna give them like a 2 because I'm not. Obviously they have really good young players like LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller. You say Trey Mann, right? That's
Yeah,
on the one on. Okay, I get him and Trey Jones confused all the time. He's on the Spurs, so
both
Trey
trays without the
Mann's.
Y.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Uh,
But yes,
I was just gonna say the Bucks have scored 8 straight in OT, so we're all
okay.
looking good for the Pistons.
Well, but at least the Pistons took him to OT. That's not
Right.
something that should be happening. Anyways, back to the Hornets, right? I'd still look at 2 because, they have young players that are playing very well. LaMelo Ball is looking very, very good. Be there the whole season, please, please, please. Brandon Miller has his games, and I think more often than not, they are really good games
Mhm.
and able to contribute. Besides that, been a little quiet from everyone else, but they're doing their job. They're 4-7 right now. Not expecting them to be crazy, but the head coach Charles Lee, I believe, is his name.
That's the one.
Yeah, I'm so much better than last year. I could not name any of these people last
Thunderhead
year.
coach.
Yeah, literally head coach Thunder guy. I don't know. And then I was right. That's what's crazy.
Uh,
Anyways. Um, yeah, so I'm at a 2 for the Hornets. I'm not super panicked at all.
Yeah, I would say right now, I was gonna say one. I'll say two as well. The reason I won't go one is because Mark Williams still hasn't played. That guy's been injured for like his whole career. I like him when he's out there. He just needs to get out there. Melo healthy
Mhm.
so far. That's good to see. Trey Mann has been good, like you mentioned. Um, Miles Bridges, I don't know. I haven't really even paid attention to him.
I forgot
Couldn't
about
tell you.
him.
Brandon Miller has been good. He's also missed a little bit of time as well. Um, yeah,
Is Nick Smith Jr. still there?
Nick Smith Jr. is still there. In the game they
Okay,
got
cool.
slacked by the Magic, he played like 2 minutes in
Oh,
garbage time.
I wish he got
Um,
more time because I
I
liked him a
want
lot
him
in
to get
summer
more
league.
time. He was really fun in
Yeah,
summer league. I liked watching
yeah,
him quite a bit. They were playing some guys I'd never heard of instead, so that was something.
sure.
Um, yeah, they got a lot of interesting pieces. I think they just got to figure it out, but
Yep.
nothing too crazy for them. I think they're in an okay spot if they can kind of advance the rebuild from here.
Yeah, definitely not bad to be where they are right now. It's not like they have their players are a little bit too good to be like in the lottery, and you just want to try. You're basically competing to be like in the play-in or playoffs, which
Yeah.
is more than you want. Tell me about the Blazers.
The Blazers, we just keep getting the worst teams in the NBA.
That means at the end it'll get better. It'll get
Yeah.
more, yeah.
Blazers, I'm gonna throw the Blazers. I'm gonna throw them at a one. I'm not worried about the Blazers. I think they're in a pretty good spot. They've had some decent games this season. We just mentioned them beating the Wolves in the NBA Cup. That was nice to see. They have a lot of young, interesting pieces. They still have to kind of figure it out, Anthony, Shade, and Scoot. I don't imagine all three of these people will be on the team in the future. I think two of them make your starting backcourt probably. The third one is whatever. Um, still need to get rid of Aiden, still need to get rid of Jeremy Grant, those guys, because obviously you don't need them on a rebuilding team, a team this early into the rebuild. Once you get to like where the Rockets are, and the Pistons are, where you're so
Yeah.
many years into it, it makes more sense because then you're starting to win. But right now they're just taking minutes away from those young guys, not allowing them to develop properly. Um, but yeah, I don't hate what they've done at all this season. I think they've been perfectly fine, perfectly kind of what I expected, maybe even a little bit better than what I expected. So I'm happy with where they're at.
Yeah, I'm at a one as well. I went to the game against the Clippers and they won by 1 point. That was really, really fun to see in more ways for a lot of reasons. Denny Avdia, who we didn't haven't mentioned yet, is looking quite good for the Blazers. Nice to see him get like a bigger role than with the Wizards. It's a different environment, does things for people. Donovan Clingan also is looking really good as a rookie. Robert Williams, like you mentioned, when he's not injured, can play really good minutes.
Yeah.
And just goes to show you don't need a DeAndre Ayton on your team. I mean, they're doing what they need. But yeah, I agree that they have a lot of really good young prospects. Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton will find their way out when the time comes. But right now, like they're good. They're fun. I would love to go to more games to watch them, but I think they already kind of did their series here. Or no, they have one more at the end of the year. So, but yeah, they're toward the bottom. They're 13th right now, 4-8. So, not worried about the Blazers at all.
Yeah. I should have mentioned Abdia too. I like
It's
him.
just because he was the Pirtle. That's I
Yeah.
was like, forgot he's number 8. I keep thinking he's number 9. Ugh. Celtics, I'll make it easy. One, they're fine. They're fine. They're gonna get Kristaps Porzingis back at some point, and I mean they're already like 9-3. I'm not worried about them at all. I have nothing else to say.
Yeah. I'm only at a five, but it's really because they lost to the Trey Youngless Hawks. No, definitely at a one. Losses like that do happen. They did that last season against the Cavs a couple times. They lost to like Dean Wade in the fourth quarter and you know things like that. And the Hawks, right? Didn't they lose a
They lost to the Lakers without AD and LeBron James. I had to
yeah.
say it. Sorry, that was fun for me.
They
Okay,
throw, they just throw random games like that. But come playoff time, I think this will be most people's favorites for the repeat at the finals. So far,
absolutely.
so good. Derek White scored 31 points against whoever they played yesterday. It
It was
was
the Hawks. The
the Hawks.
Hawks.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, him and Jaylen Brown. Who would have thought? Who's the other star there?
yeah.
Jason Tatum, who?
Derek
Yeah,
White, S tier role
S
player.
tier. Oh, it was A tier role play, right? Something like that.
Yeah. Elite role players.
Elite role players as it was. Ooh, Pelicans.
Pelicans. All
All
right.
right, Damon, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
The Pelicans are gonna be my first five of the day. I'm freaking out if I'm a Pelicans fan, manager, anything. The injuries that are plaguing this team are absurd. They are running absolutely no guys out there. Zion, Jose. We talked about Herb Jones. We talked about Trey Murphy, I think, is also injured. DeJounte
Mhm.
Murray fractures his hand. CJ McCollum is out. That's like their whole starting five, basically, except for Brandon Ingram. And you know why that's actually not good? Because Brandon Ingram is going to try to carry this team every day, and he's going to put up really good numbers and then they have to pay him in the offseason because they didn't pay him yet and he wanted to be paid and he is going to get paid doing this. So this is like worst case scenario for the Pelicans. Right now they are the 14th seed in the West, 3-8. This is a disaster. It's a horrible start. A lot of it, of course, due to injuries, which you can't control. But man, it is just tough. Tough watch right now. Tough place for this franchise to be in.
Yeah, it's tough to see. I mean, they have good young players like Jordan Hawkins that comes to mind, fan of, but Jordan Hawkins is not going to win you games. And with a salary with people on your salary, like with the names Zion, DeJounte Murray, and like CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, you're like, we are not in a it's okay to lose mode. Like you need to win with these people while they're on their team. Do you know, is Brandon Ingram going to be a restricted or unrestricted free
He's
agent next year?
unrestricted. Yeah.
Okay, that's also worst case scenario
Yeah.
on this. Okay, so yeah, five. I don't know if I said that, but definitely a five. I'm glad Jonas Valanciunas isn't there, so I can't like feel
Uh,
that terrible.
I forgot.
Um,
Now that Pelican shirt I gave you is no longer
it's
good.
dude, 2 for 2. Stop getting me shirts like that,
Yeah.
man. They
Too
always
much player
leave.
movement in the NBA.
No, I still love them because now they're, they're relics. They're pieces of art.
Oh yeah,
All right,
for sure.
let us.
Let's move on from our first five of the day.
Yeah, was that our? Yeah, it was for first for
I think
all.
so.
Yeah, yeah. We gave out some fours already though. What do we got? Grizzlies.
The Grizzles.
Um. Okay, I think this is yeah, it's mine. So Grizzlies, interesting kind of right now. They're 7-4 right now. They're playing the Lakers, currently losing. Um, I I want to give them like a 3 because they do have a winning record. They're looking a lot better than they did last year. They have their players back. Is Marcus Smart playing?
Yeah,
No, right? He
yeah, I
is.
think so.
I think
You
he
not?
sat out for like a game or two or something. But when they're all out on, I could just be forgetting this. But I'm not super panicked about them. I maybe expect them to look a little bit better. I think there are other teams that have been surprisingly
Do you
really
know the
good.
starting lineup against your Lakers?
Can I guess? I
Yeah,
don't
go
know it.
ahead.
Okay, so John Morant.
Nope.
Okay. Scottie Pippen Jr.,
Yep.
Jaren Jackson Jr.,
Yep.
Desmond Bain,
Nope.
Brandon Clark,
Nope.
Santi Aldama,
Yep.
Jay Huff.
Yep.
Yeah, let's go.
You won't guess the last person. There's
Okay,
absolutely no way.
it's not Vince Williams, isn't he out or something?
Yeah, he's out. Brandon
It's
Clark, I
not
think, still hasn't returned, by the way.
GG Jackson still out.
Still out. Yeah. It's Jalen Wells.
Oh, wait, so John Morant is not just is he okay, I
He's
didn't look
he's
at the
just
injury
not playing
report.
this game. Marcus Smart is playing in this game. He's just coming off the bench for Jalen Wells
Interesting. Oh, okay.
and Scottie
Well,
Pippen Jr.
well then we better win. Gosh, we better win. Oh, wait, is Zach Edey also injured?
Not playing.
Wow. So we have to win today. Anyways, yeah, that's why I give them like a 3. I mean, they have players, they have good players. I think they're still trying to figure out how to
Oh,
work
he
together and
actually has
play.
played. He's played 5 minutes off the bench.
Okay.
Not
Anywho.
bad.
So yeah, I say a 3. I think I basically covered the Grizzlies, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say three. Just because some of those injury concerns. Scottie Pippen, not Scottie Pippen, sorry, Vince Williams, Gigi Jackson are
Yeah.
going to be out for some amount of time. Brandon Clark still hasn't returned yet. And then, like we just talked about, Ja missing games, Bain missing games. I don't know. Like they're 7-4, but like I don't feel great about it. Like it's not a
Yeah.
super convincing 7-4 to me. It feels like with the way some of these teams have really been struggling to start the year, the Grizzlies should be kind of like soaring towards the top, and they just haven't yet. And maybe that's just time to get things together.
Yeah.
But
I do want to say the one positive out of this is that Jay Huff is getting the minutes he
huge,
deserves. He played really well against the Lakers, the Anthony Davis less Lakers.
yeah,
Made
big
two
man.
threes from the corner and also got like a putback dunk that was, really cool. So
Zach Edey has looked bad.
I haven't really watched a lot of his minutes, so I mean that's kind of what we predicted, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Tell me about the Clippers.
the Clippers. Um, yeah, I'll say four, and it's not even really have anything to do with this season. I just like, what is this franchise gonna do? Kawhi hasn't played a game at all. It's been Harden ball, and he's been fine. Norman Powell has been really good scorer for them. Shout out Norman Powell. He's had a great season for the Clippers. Um, Terrence Mann has been okay. Zoo has been okay. He's out though. He's been injured for a little bit now.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it's just like this team can't win the finals, obviously. I'd be shocked if they made it out of the first round. If they were like an 8 seed, I wouldn't be that terribly surprised. But if they somehow made it out of the first round, I would lose my mind. But they're
Yeah.
also don't have any other picks really, because they traded them all. And they don't have any young prospects to be excited about. They have like Bones, who doesn't even get minutes on the team. So it's just like again another team that's kind of been a purgatory for me. I don't like anything they got going on really.
Yeah, I'm with you at a four because the first thing I thought of too is like Kawhi Leonard is not has not played a game. That's and the thing is, what also would make me panic is that it's not like it's gonna get better for Kawhi Leonard. Like
Right.
it's just you're just gonna have to deal with this as long as whatever NBA team he's on from now on, that's gonna be his narrative, and that sucks because he's such a good player. It's great when he's playing, and it's just you hate to see it. Harden ball is not fun to watch, not fun to watch. Derrick Jones Jr. looking pretty good. Chris Dunn looking very good. So I'm happy for them. They got their money and they are playing, minutes. Maybe they'll be able to get into a better team at some point, better environment, and I can root for them and they can win. But yeah, it's unfortunate for the Clippers that they have a new, stadium, new arena, so much money put into it, and this is the team that you put in there the first. I will say, really cool stadium, but besides that, you know, um,
Shout out
not
Steve Ballmer.
shout out Steve Ballmer, yeah. But yeah, I give him a four. Also, I just got some breaking news as well. If you don't mind, you can
Yeah.
spin it, so I'll break it. Um, so the Bucks obviously won OT. Giannis got 59 points.
Wow.
Oh, and it's the Bucks. Oh, cool.
Speaking of, wow, what a great time to break that news.
Wow, that was perfect. So it's my turn, I think, right?
Yeah.
So Bucks, five, easy.
Yeah.
Easy five. They are healthy, and they
Except
are
Chris Middleton.
except Chris Middleton, I should
Forget
keep
about that
forgetting.
man.
Thank you. So they're 3-8. I think just winning right now makes them 4-8.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so it looked bad for a long time, and I still doesn't look great. I mean, you just went to overtime with the Pistons. The Pistons
Been
are
back
a
to
good
back, to be
team.
fair.
It's a back-to-back.
They were both back to back, actually. They both played yesterday. So,
Yeah, so it's hard to excuse some of those things, but Giannis is still playing great. Damian Lillard is playing really great, but that defense, that identity, they don't have an identity. There's nothing holding them all together. The players who've been looking good in the past for them don't look as good anymore. Pat Connaughton not playing as well. Bobby Portis looks good in flashes. Brooke Lopez not playing that great. Gary Trent Jr. is doing what he can, but he is what was like C tier player. I think, high C tier player. It's like doing what he can. Torian Prince should not be starting games. He's a good player off the bench for you. But um, yeah, Bucks, I feel bad because it's like I think they need to get a different coach. It's like we just went through this last year. They shouldn't have gotten rid of Adrian Griffin. I'm still so confused about that. But
43 and
um,
13, man.
that
That's his
was
head coaching record, 43 and 13.
that's just ridiculous to me. Anyways, it's at a five for me. What about you?
Yeah, the Bucks are five. They were the team I'm probably even more panicked about than the Pelicans because they don't have the injury excuse. Yes, they don't have Chris Middleton. We understand that. Tertiary scorer, all that. It's just looked rough out there. Their defense has been really bad. Um, with Giannis, who's won a Defensive Player of the Year, and Brook, who is known as a all defensive caliber kind of center. Yes, he is old, but they just can't stop anybody, and then they can't outscore him. Giannis and Dame will have 60 combined points every night, and it doesn't matter because they can't stop the other team.
Yeah,
Um, I will say the additions that we were excited about. Gary Trent Jr., I think, played like 12 minutes yesterday. DeLon Wright, he's like out of the rotation right now.
oh my God, jeez.
Torian Prince hasn't been great there. Doc has started rolling the young guys out, trying new things, playing Andre Jackson Jr. more, AJ Green more, those
AJ Green,
guys.
yeah, I should have mentioned, yeah.
Um, which is nice to see, but yeah, it's looked ugly over there. They, like you said, they just don't seem like they have an identity, like they know what they're doing. They look like a pickup basketball team in an NBA court.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it feels
And
like.
you got two players who refuse to leave the court because they're so good, and then everyone else is just rotating in and out. It's kind of what
Yeah.
it seems like.
It's scary business over there for the Bucks. Four seed, not looking good prediction wise right now for me. And yeah, and we talked about the 76ers earlier. I mean, Yeah,
Yeah,
even lower
I'm not
clubs.
doing that very good right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about other more
I should have
exciting.
had the Nets at the 60. That's my bad.
Yeah. All right, we got Lakers. Tell me about my
Lakers.
Lakers.
I'll tell you about your Lakers. Honestly, I'm feeling okay. I think I'll say like a two, like a two, maybe a three, somewhere right there. And I'll say that because not all the pieces have looked great. Anthony Davis has looked phenomenal to start the season, which is nice to see. LeBron, I don't think it's regression as much as he just maybe is not trying as much. Like he's not putting as much effort as he has had in years past to make sure the Lakers make the playoffs. He's kind of taken that backseat to Anthony Davis, which is nice to see in his 82nd season in the NBA. But some of the role players have been questionable so far. You mentioned Gabe Vincent last pod, where he did basically nothing. D'Lo has looked pretty rough to start the year. Him and Reeves didn't really work super well together. Rui has been kind of whatever. Um,
Yeah.
That's just kind of what it feels like. Like Max Christie and Maxwell Lewis haven't really seen a jump from either of those guys. Vanderbilt still in street clothes. Um, it's just I think the most exciting thing about the Lakers season, aside from Anthony Davis looking like really awesome, is like Dalton Connect when he comes in feels fresh. Feels like like a nice spark of energy and shooting off the bench. Everything else just feels so kind of blah, but like
Yeah.
they have a positive record. So I don't know. It just feels a little funky. I'll go three. I'll
Okay,
finish
cool.
on three.
Yeah, I was gonna because I'm saying three
Okay.
as a fan, just because yeah, they have a winning record. You have two arguably top five, top 10 players in the league. They look great, and I like that LeBron is taking a step back, and you can kind of see it. And when he needs to turn it on, he's turning it on, and they're winning games. But thankfully, he's not doing it every game. Um, you mentioned a lot of players that I was going to talk about. Austin Reeves is looking pretty good for what he can. I wish his defense would get up to where it was when he first came into the league. Like when first playing for the Lakers, he was kind of like an Alex Caruso replacement.
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of fallen off. At
But
least
he's
he's
like,
doing
I'm a
good on,
scorer now. I don't need defense
yeah.
anymore.
And so I wish he kind of hung his hat on that a bit more because they kind of need somebody like that. Max Christie has not looked good. I never been the biggest Max Christie fan, and we paid him 4 years, 32 million. Hopefully, Cam Reddish is playing really great defense, not scoring a lot, but really playing great defense. Love to see that. Dalton Connect, like you mentioned, is looking great for a rookie. We haven't really had a rookie to be excited about for a while. That's can be a part of the rotation, so good to see. Rui Hachimura started really well, and now he's not looking as good. Just the reason why I said a 3-2 is because we still need some. We don't have any backups. LeBron is out, AD is out. I basically count that as an L. You know what I mean? It's like we have
Right.
to be able to stand on our own without one of them, you know? And Jackson Hayes has actually been looking a little better than last year. So that's been nice to see. But so that's why I'm at a three, kind of right in the middle.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Ugh. Lakers fans, this is for you.
Los Angeles.
LA.
I love LA.
Tell me about your Toronto Raptors.
My favorite, Toronto Raptors. Toronto, I actually have them as a one.
Okay.
Even though they are right now 2-10, they have lost five in a row. They're actually last right now in the East.
Yeah, they're
Um,
struggling for sure.
yeah, but the reason why I'm not worried is because they have really good. Maybe it'd be a two. Let's still keep it at a one because Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk haven't even mentioned. They're not playing minutes right now. So you have a lot of players that wouldn't really play an NBA game playing, and they're not looking too bad. Like they're keeping games competitive, like I talked about last time and a little bit earlier. Grady Dick looking really good. RJ Barrett looking really good. Um, actually, Ogbaji, what's his first name? Oshai.
Ochai. Yeah.
Oshai Ogbaji looks pretty good too, making some clutch shots in there. Even though they came in losses, he's still contributing, getting to the basket. And Jakob Poeltl playing pretty good basketball as a center. They don't really have a backup to him though. That's their big downfall. But they are
Don't sleep on Chris Boucher.
Chris Boucher's fine. He's been there for like 15 years, I
It
feel
does
like.
feel that way. It feels like
Right?
he's been there
He's been
forever.
yeah. But I'm not even with all that, like I'm not worried. Maybe I put a two just because of the injuries. I'll say two because of the injuries.
Yeah,
Um,
I was thinking two. I was thinking two, just because they are losing a lot, which is kind of what they're supposed to do this season. Some of these losses are fine, competitive, like you mentioned. Some of them are a little uglier. They have a couple ugly ones in there. The injuries are not great. You hope that Scotty Barnes is fine. I don't know what's up with Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk. Like, are they just not playing them, or are they just injured? Like, I don't know. Yeah, nothing much really to see here. I think this is a team that held on for, in that core of the championship for a really long time, with Fred and Pascal, OG, and they finally let go. And this is the first full season after that. So this is the year they're expected to lose a lot. So it's not a huge deal.
yeah, I'm looking at their like the on the NBA app, just trying to see the injury report. I
Yes,
haven't
sir.
found it yet, but I do see there's a section for retired numbers and it's blank. Come on, guys.
Vince Carter, they retired it.
I know they just did it. It's like, come on.
Update your app,
Anyways.
man. Come on.
They are currently actually ranked fourth in the league assists per game. It's pretty cool
Wow.
to see.
Guys sharing the ball. To lose, this is why you keep it for yourself.
Toulouse, come on. All right, tell me about our Sacramento Kings.
I love the Kings. Yeah, the Kings are a tricky. I'll say like a three. I'll say a three. I'll say a three. Here's why I'll say a three. I haven't seen enough still. I mentioned this last time. I thought about talking about them because for the Western Conference, we really haven't talked a lot of Kings basketball since the season started, but I still haven't quite seen enough with the DeRozan, Fox, Sabonis combo. And yeah, they're 6-5 right now, which is a fine record. Um, Offense is good as predicted, defense is bad as predicted, and yeah, it's just like Sacramento is different than other franchises like the Heat we talked about, like the Clippers that we talked about. I think they're okay with being like a 7 seed and losing in the first round because they missed the playoffs for 15 years in a row. Like it's okay if they just boot in and barely make it and get their guys some experience. Um, but I do wonder, with DeRozan's age and all that, kind of what is the ultimate goal for this team? Is it do they plan on being championship contenders in the Fox bonus era? How do they get there? That's what makes me a little more panicked because they don't have a lot outside of that I think they can really build off of. Keegan Murray has looked great, but their rookie this year is injured for like the whole season. Devin Carter, so they don't have like a lot to look forward to aside from like the guys that are there right now.
Yeah. I'm at a three as well. They've had a couple bad losses so far. They lost to the Spurs yesterday. And also they lost a bad game. God, was it the Raptors? It was the Raptors, I'm pretty sure. Because I remember watching that game. And even though DeRozan was clutch in that game, they couldn't get stops. It's that defense. So I'm panicked for that reason. Like you said, not a lot of young players. Sabonis is looking uh good, not as great as you'd kind of expect him to be, and their bench is a little lackluster. Yeah, Trey Lyles coming off the bench, and Doug McDermott kind of replaced Harrison Barnes, but it's not the same. So it's kind of a three. And I kind of think that their next goal for them is to get out of the first round. Just make it in the playoffs and then get out of the first round. And we'll see because they do have a very talented roster. They have a lot of talent. So it might just be halftime, need time.
Yeah,
And yeah, like you said, they have a winning record of 6-5, even though 6-5, they're 10th in the West, which is crazy. Because
West is
the
good.
East, yeah, East, there's losing records. Literally this fourth seed has a losing record.
East
This is
is
crazy.
not doing great for sure.
All right. I got Cavaliers.
Yeah,
Cavaliers 13-0, first time ever in franchise history starting 13-0. I am not worried at all about the Cavaliers. I
yeah.
have them at a 1 because they are playing great basketball. They were losing to the Nets, and then Evan Mobley turned it on, came back, and they won by 5. They're winning against really good teams. They beat the Warriors very convincingly. and which the Warriors are a good team this year, I guess. So 13-0 speaks for itself. First in the East. I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna break the rules a little bit. I'm gonna go 0 here. I'm actually negative worried about the Cavs. I don't know. They just keep beating the crap out of everyone, and they look really good. Garland looks a little resuscitated, I guess, after last year. It looked like he's having a resurgence, so that's nice to see. Seems like Kenny Atkinson has figured out the Mobley Allen thing a little bit better than JB Bickerstaff could. Donovan Mitchell hasn't even been like a like I feel like last year for their team succeeded to really carry their offense on the back and have these crazy games. He doesn't even have to do that this year. He's fine. He's playing like a player like on the Celtics would because they have so many good players. Not like a guy carrying a bunch of not great people. So yeah, the Cavs least worry in the NBA 13-0. What would I have to worry about?
Absolutely. Yeah, big shout out to Kenny Atkinson for sure.
I told y'all Kenny Atkinson was that man.
Okay, I
Uh,
hear you. Tell me about the San Antonio Spurs.
the Spurs. Um, yeah, the Spurs. I'll sit at a 2. I'll be at a comfortable 2. Chris Paul has been a nice addition. Stephon Castle has played a lot early, which is nice to see. Still waiting on Vassell come back. He hasn't been there all season. Um, Keldon Johnson has looked fine off the bench. Jeremy Sohan has actually looked really good to start the year. Um, Honestly, my biggest worry about this team right now is Wimby, and here's what I mean by that. The guy is 7'4" and shooting 28% from three, and he keeps taking like 7 a game. He's just got to get, and I know he's skinny and he's not going to be able to back, you know, guys like Nurkic down. They're like big and bulky and stuff like that. But he's just so tall and freakish and has the crazy wingspan. He has to just start working on getting inside because I just don't think that people would really be able to stop him because he can just hold the ball over their head like literally a 6'10" center. He has like 6 inches on that guy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. um, so I need him to work that a little more into his game and stop playing like a shooting guard a little bit sometimes. And he does have great handle and he can shoot. He does make threes. He just scored 50, crying out loud, against the Wizards. But
It matters.
it's still obviously a great achievement. So I just need him to work on that aspect of his game because I feel like that will take them to a new level. Because if your 7'4" guy is shooting a three, we'll live with that. It's kind of like when teams let Giannis shoot threes. And
Yeah.
obviously Wemby is better than Giannis at that this early in his career. But um, it's just you want to use your size to your advantage. And I think he's not quite doing that to the level I would like him to.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to add, I agree with everything you're saying. I'm thinking about it too as well. The only thing I'm going to add to your thing is why a slightly panicked is Greg Popovich is still out, you
Oh yeah.
know? Um, and
Reported, by the way, today, I think he had a mild stroke.
let's see, I mean, that's,
Happened.
I hope he gets well soon. That's crazy. That's not good to hear. And the assistant coach who's running it, I forgot the name. We mentioned it last pod. I don't know if
Mitchell
you're
Johnson, I think.
something like, yeah,
Maybe it's just
he's doing a
Mitch
good job.
Johnson, which, by the way, is terrible.
Not
Mitch
a good
is
name,
gross.
which is a bad name. Let's just be honest. But yeah, I hope Greg Popovich is back sooner than later, just because I think he's going to be really important for the development of these young players, and if he's not able to, that at least he's healthy enough to like be on the bench or at least to enjoy the game, or if they need to find a new head coach, they find one. But yeah, that's besides the player stuff. That's why I would be at a 2 as well.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that.
Of
Slept
course,
on
we love Greggy
Poppy.
here. Yeah. Mm.
What
Chicago
about your
Bulls.
Chicago Matas Buzelis?
Yeah, who hasn't really been playing, which upsets me. But anyways, they're 5-7 right now. They are the seventh seed in the East. I'd say I'm like a 2. I'm not gonna 2 with them because Kobe White is looking great. Ayo Dosunmu is looking great. Vucevic has actually had quite a few really good games for the
Yeah,
Bulls
it's
as
had a good year.
well. Matas Buzelis, I mentioned just because he is Lithuanian, I have to talk about him. Not
It's required.
not playing as many minutes as I would have wished. And when he does play, it doesn't look great. He is a rookie, so I'm not judging it too hard. They've won a couple good close games, lost a couple. bad ones. But I, what did I say? Two? Yeah, I'm at a two. I mean, they're starting their rebuild. Josh Giddey is looking pretty good actually for them. I saw him make a three. I was like, what did happen to Josh Giddey? And then, yeah, Zach Levine also when he's not sitting out has also looked pretty good. We'll see what happens um, to them and if and when they move him and Vucevic. And I'm sure you're going to mention something about they got to look better if you want to try and get rid of them. But I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, no, I would say they're at a two. I was actually considering putting them at a one, which is crazy because I've been a Bulls hater for this whole podcast, whole history of this podcast. But no, like you said, Vucevic has had a good start to the season. Levine has been good. Kobe White is soon you like to see. The reason they're at a two for me, someone you didn't mention, Patrick Williams. Man, oh man, does he look bad? He does not look like a great NBA player. Lot look like a good long-term fit. They already paid him $90 million for like the next 4 years. And it's just not great to see. And it was a questionable draft pick at the time. I think he came off the bench at Florida State, and they still drafted him number four overall. Strange. Um, hasn't worked out in their favor. Hopefully they can move some of those pieces and go further towards the rebuild. But yeah, uh, so far, I mean, they beat the Knicks today. That was kind of cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's fine.
also wanted to mention Jalen Smith doesn't look too bad over there either. So good for him.
Goggles legend.
Hey, come on, AD. You're telling me he doesn't look cool with goggles? Come on. Tell me about our Dallas Mavericks, our Luka Doncic team.
Yeah, the maps have looked a little wonky so far this year. Not as good as I thought they were going to look. I'll throw them at a three. Right now they're about 500, 5 and 6, just below 500. Um, it does take time to gel. They got Clay there, lost Josh Green, so there are a couple changes they have to adjust to. Luca hasn't looked Luca this year. Like he hasn't looked as great as I think we both had him at MVP. Like this was finally the year. It hasn't been that so far. Hopefully he can turn that around. Um, Kyrie has been here and there, not amazing. Clay's has his good games, his bad games. Yeah, just inconsistency overall. It feels like. Um, they haven't really found exactly their rotation, exactly how they want to play. Um, so yeah, it's been kind of but it could just be, chemistry building, figuring it out, things like that.
Yeah, I have the Mavericks at a four, but for all the same reasons as you, I just think I'm a bit more worried about like Luka not playing as well and like maybe trying to force it, maybe trying to let the game come to him a bit more, like he has in the past. I feel like Klay Thompson has looked pretty good, actually. I think they're just trying to get used to this new kind of scheme. I think they're losing games they should be winning.
Yeah.
Which is why I also have it at a four. I watched them play the Pacers. They should have won that game. They lost. Arguably should have beat the Warriors, but I guess Steph Curry is Steph Curry. So, um, but that's why I'm a bit more at a four. And they have also lost three straight. So, not a good look, you
Yeah.
know.
No, you don't love to see that.
Mm-hmm. Let us continue.
Let's.
Talk about your Houston Rockets.
It's your turn.
It sure is. I am at a one for the Rockets because I think, maybe I'm a little bit worried about Jabari Smith Jr., but at the end of the day, he's still young. He will get better. Everyone else is looking pretty good. They are 8-4, like we mentioned earlier. Alpin Şengün looks great. Jalen Green, playing like his money depends on it. It kind of does. I mean, Thompson's looking great. If you could talk more about Reed Shepherd, I haven't watched a lot. I'd love to hear your input on that. Would love to see more minutes with Cam Whitmore, obviously. Um, and Atari Easton's looking good. And I mean, they got a winning record, 8-4. They beat good teams. They've lost to some bad teams. They lost the clutch game to the Hornets the very first game of the year, but I think they come a long way since then. So I'm not super worried. What about you?
Oh yeah, I'm at a one for the Rockets, baby. We're having a great start to the season. You'll love to see it. I'm kicking my feet up watching these games, relaxing. We do have some games against like the Spurs. We played three times against the Spurs already. Hornets you mentioned, which we did lose, which is sad. Just beat the Wizards, the Pistons. So we got some crappy teams on our belt so far, and we'll see how we fare against some of the tougher competition. But no, it's been a nice start to the season. I've liked what I've seen from our guys, except Dylan Brooks. God, I hate Dylan Brooks. I'll always gotta throw that out there. Um, your point on Reed Shepard, yeah, he's just been he hasn't been inconsistent, but his minutes have been really inconsistent. Some games he'll play 18 minutes, some games he'll play 3 minutes. So it's hard, I think, when you're a point guard, a scoring first, I think point guard is kind of his style of play. Um, when you're coming in so spottily, I imagine it's hard to kind of get into your rhythm and your flow and do your thing. So um, he hasn't looked bad or anything though. Not doing a lot of the rookie things, like not a lot of careless turnovers or ill-advised shots, things like that. Like he does seem like a winning player, making the right plays, which is nice to see. Also wish for more Cam Whitmore minutes, but when Dylan Brooks gets traded, that's when those minutes will come, hopefully. So
Sooner rather than later, please.
I like what I'm seeing from the Rockets.
Nice. Now tell me what you like from the Golden State Warriors.
Well, I'll tell you what I like about the Warriors, the one seed. So I like that. Totally shocking to me, 9-2. I did not foresee this coming for the Warriors. Definitely at a one for them right now. I mean, they have looked great to start the season. Steph has looked awesome. He is playing inspired basketball right now. And their young guys look okay. Kuminga hasn't looked amazing. We talked about that. They ended up benching him. So we'll see with that. But Andrew Wiggins finally coming back from his, finals form from 2022. That's what it looks like so far, at least. Hopefully that continues. Draymond has been really good for them. Very quiet, which is good for Draymond. No, we haven't talked about him slapping somebody or doing something crazy yet. So, you like to see that. Yeah, just a good season so far. I don't think anyone really expected anything like this from the Warriors. So this is nice to see to start the season, and hopefully it continues for them.
Yeah, I'm at a one as well with the Warriors. A shout out Buddy Hield, honestly. He just
Thank
yeah,
you. I knew I was forgetting
huge
somebody. He's had
yeah,
a great
huge
season.
great start to the season. He's somebody who is being benched in playoff games, not even in the rotation for playoff games. And I knew he still had in the tank. It was strange to see that last year, but regardless, he's in a place where they trust him, and he fits in that formula the Warriors have kind of perfected and fits in really well. Steph Curry's looking great. Yeah, I think he rolled his ankle like second, third game, sat out one game, but he's back looking great. And yeah, hey, I'm a Warriors fan. I'm not worried. I'm just happy that, there was a lot of talk that this year would be a down year. And I mean, I thought they would be sneakily good. I think we both were like, I think they'd kind of be like in the middle of the West, but at the top is I did not expect 9-2.
Oh yeah,
Definitely not. So I'm not worried.
Stephen Curry legacy season.
I mean, it's finally he's like, okay, now I'm the only Splash Brother. Let me show you what I got. It's kind of cool to see. Tell me about oh, is it me? It's me, right?
It's
Thunder?
you.
Yeah.
It's you.
So the Thunder, the only reason why I'm gonna give this number, okay, I'm gonna say three. And the reason I'm gonna say three is just because of injuries. That's really it.
Chet.
Yeah, Chet and now Isaiah Hartenstein is out. Maybe even like two, because I think they're gonna be just fine without them. You just never love to see your star, your second, probably behind Shea, star player. Although J Dub has an argument there, of course. And then your backup that you spent all this money on, um, out for a couple of weeks at least. But I'll say two because I think they're going to stay afloat. They're looking great. They're at the top of the West right now, 10-2. They beat really good teams. They beat really bad teams. They've lost. Uh, I can't remember who they lost to, but it's just two losses. So um, I'll say a two, just for injuries, really.
I'm looking at the Thunder and Pelicans box score from today. I would be shocked if you could name half these players.
And the Pelicans,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna try.
just throw some out there.
Jordan Hawkins.
Yeah, he's injured actually. He didn't play.
Oh my God, you were kidding.
He's out.
Oh my, I don't even know where to start, man. Is Herb Jones? No, he's out too, right?
He's out.
Oh my God, dude, I can't. Brandon Boston.
Brandon Boston starting
Yeah,
guard for
Javante
them.
Green.
Javante Green starting
Let's
guard
go.
for them.
Oh my God, terrible. F tier starting players. Wait, who else? Wait, Daniel Tice?
No, he didn't play this one.
What? Oh, what? What are they doing in New Orleans? Okay, tell me. This is too funny not to try.
Uh, Brandon Ingram played.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Trey Murphy is back and played.
Oh, he's back. Okay, cool.
Eves Missy starting center. Here's their bench: Jalen Noel, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, Jamal Cain, Trey Jamison, Antonio Reeves.
You'd be right in your assumption of me not knowing them.
Uh, you want to know who started at center for the Thunder today?
Um, Please not J-Dub. It's gonna be something stupid.
It was J-Dub.
No,
He's 6'4", by the way. But
I was just kidding.
it was Shea, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe, Lou Dort, J-Dub. That was their
That is
starting
literally
five
a
today.
playground starting. That's like I
That's
play
crazy.
with people that are like six. All those. The
They
tallest guy is
beat the
what, six
Pelicans
five?
by 18, so
I mean, who's your center? Someone who's like on the, you know what I mean? Anyways. Oh,
yeah.
oh. Tell me about the Thunder. What do you think?
Yeah, they're the two for me. It's really like you mentioned, it's just gonna be from the injuries, from the no Chet, no Hartenstein. That's not good for regular season wins. I think they'll struggle against teams like the Lakers, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, teams with big centers, basically a lot of size on them. It's going to be hard to stop those guys without fouling. So that'll be tough on their regular season record, I think. But I think playoff time comes around, they'll be pretty. They'll be sitting pretty, assuming health. So that's about it.
For sure. Yeah. Also, by the way, at halftime, the Lakers are only up by one. Fun.
Dang,
Yeah, there they go again. Tell me about the Timberwolves.
the Team B Wolves. Yeah, that's an interesting team so far. So they just lost to the Blazers at the in-season tournament. Right now, they're actually tied with the Blazers in the third quarter. So back-to-back Blazer games, I guess. Um, yeah, this is tough. I'll go with a 3. I'm worried about this team, because I don't know with the Karl Anthony Towns trade if their ceiling is as high as it was last year. I don't think it is. I think I said that at the time of the trade. Um, And I don't know if Anthony Edwards is going to take the super like top 2 player in the league kind of jump that I think you would need to take for this team to be that contending level team. Just don't know if the pieces are around them enough. Obviously, the money is going to be an issue because Anthony Edwards is going to get a max, and Jalen Daniels is making a lot of money. Rudy Gobert is making a lot of money. Julius Randle's making a lot of money this year, but he's about to be a free agent. Do they let him go? What happens? And the fit hasn't looked great so far. So I'm just worried about like the ultimate prospect for this team because I feel like it's less good than it was last year.
Yeah, I'm at a 4. Because of that all that reason, like they really should be, on paper, even with the oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? Oh, Julius Randle. What the? Well, it just happened to me. Even with the Julius Randle trade, like on paper, I would imagine their record to be a bit more like 8-3 or something, like they're losing games that they should be winning against like the Blazers, and yeah, without the pieces there, I don't know how Anthony Edwards can take that jump. Like I haven't really watched a lot of Timberwolves basketball, like I said. I know for sure that Naz Reid is looking really good, so that's good for them. And Nikhil Alexander Walker is still doing his thing. Mike Conley has not looked good. That's probably a big thing. Rob Dillingham hopefully is getting more minutes
Mike
now.
Conley has looked old.
Yeah, the when I first watched a couple games, Rob Dillingham got no minutes, so hopefully he's getting more now. Joe Ingles is playing minutes. I mean, he's old, so it's like, what do you kind of expect from that? So I'm a bit worried, but I still think, they're a tough team to beat. It's not easy by any means. They still beat good teams,
For
so
sure,
they just lose to bad teams, which is
which
the
is
weird.
never great to see.
Not a good recipe if you want to get to where you were last year. Now the Wizards. Oh my God, what am I supposed to say about the Wizards? The Wizards are the 13th seed in the East. The Sixers are worse. Interesting. Um, Also, the Raptors have played 12 games and the Wizards have played 9. That's like a huge
I don't
disparity, I
I
feel
don't think
like.
it's counted their game today. I think they're 2-10 now after their loss to the
Oh, okay,
Spurs.
that's better. Okay. Oh, you mean was 2-8? They're 2-8.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. Still the 13th seed.
Yeah.
Anyways, am I worried about the Wizards? I mean, I would maybe give it a 2 only because I'm like, what are you gonna do with your franchise? Like, what are you gonna do? Do you have any young players? I mean, Bilal Coulibaly is looking good for them. That's upside. Alex Sarr, I don't know if he's looking good. Valanciunas, get out of there as soon as you can if
You're
you can
not
hear
grinding
this.
Wizards tape, Tom?
Oh, you know what's so fun? No. I will go to a game though when they play the Clippers and yell and scream my heart out for the Wizards because I just want that for them. And I It's not a secret. I don't like the Clippers. But yeah, I guess I would say too, just because like franchise direction. Am I worried about any of the players on their team? No, I'm just more worried. Like if I was a fan, like where are we going? What are we doing? They're drafted, they have young players. Like I think they're trying to figure that out. And hopefully it's a continuing uphill. They started this year, hopefully. Anyways.
Yeah, I would say I was leaning, honestly, I was thinking 4 at first, which is high, but I'll bring it down to a 2. Because what you said makes sense. They are rebuilding. They're supposed to be bad. They are bad. Um, and what you mentioned is kind of what I was thinking is the future. Who's the future? Who's on this team in the long term? They got rid of Abdia, which I didn't like the move, and he looks pretty good over there in Portland. They still have Corey Kispert, who's fine. They have Labali, who's really young, so he has time to develop. Alex Sarr has been okay. Bub Carrington has been pretty good though for them, their 14th pick. Um, but aside from that, it's like not a lot of future pieces on this team. Brogdon, Valanciunas, Kyle Kuzma, Jordan Poole, like none of these guys are going to be on your team in the long term. So I don't know what the move is for them. I don't know if any of those players, aside from like Kuzma, probably has a decent trade value still. Aside from that, like who's given up a lot for Jordan Poole?
Yeah.
Um, probably no one. So yeah, it's just it's whatever, I guess.
Yeah, the thing is it's going to be a process, but I mean this is what like a lot of like the franchises have gone like the most recent I can think of is like the Kings. I feel like just went through this.
Mhm.
Like they were just so bad for so long, so hopefully they'll have that miracle season soon. Tell me about the Knicks.
The Knicks, yeah, the Knicks have been weird. Give the Knicks honestly like I'm thinking like I'm between 3 and 4. I'll say a 3. I'll settle at 3. Here's why I was in between those numbers. The depth. The depth is very concerning. They do not have a lot of guys on the bench for this team, which I know is fine for Tom Thibodeau. He's going to run 7 guys into the ground in the playoffs or whatever, but man, I mean, last year they had a couple injuries and then their team was nothing and they got knocked out of the playoffs in the second round. And I could definitely see that happening if they have more injuries here in the future. Mikal Bridges' shot is coming around. Thank goodness for that, because I don't know what he was doing at the start of the season. Cat has looked like a one-man offense at times in the Knicks uniform, which is nice to see. Brunson has been pretty good, not like all NBA level good, like I thought he might be. Not like all NBA first team level. I mean, like MVP good so far, but he has been Brunson. Bridges is fine. Josh Hart is fine. I just think this team hasn't looked as good as I thought they were going to look at the gates here, and maybe it just means time to gel or whatever. But um, the depth issues worry me, and they haven't looked amazing worries me because once we get to the playoffs, the thinness of this team is concerning.
Yeah, right now they're sitting at 5-6. Or actually they should be did they
Five and
lose today?
seven, yeah, they lost.
To who?
They lost to the Bulls today.
Oh my, okay. Again, it's like you beat the 76ers and you lose to the Bulls. It's like what's happening?
Right,
Um, so they're 5-7. So they're like the
right.
fifth seed. Or no, actually they're sixth seed right now because the Bulls went anyways. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm at a 3. I'm not like super worried because their depth is an issue and once you get Mitchell Robinson back, that'll help a lot because you're running um Cat at the 5 and he's you saw is better at kind of as a four of the Timberwolves unless you kind of unlock them. But their defense that they were known for is not there like it was last year. And you have players like Matt Ryan. He's in the rotation. I didn't. I looked yesterday. I was like, who's all the one that everyone that played? Matt Ryan. So get Precious back, get Mitchell
DoorDash
Robinson
driver.
back. Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget he made that crucial three for the Lakers, and then we let him go. But thanks for that. But yeah, Knicks, they will bounce back, I'm sure. But the East, thankfully the East is not as competitive as you would like. So they're still pretty good in that respect comparative to everyone in the East. But yeah, they still need to kind of work everything out together for
Yeah.
sure. All
Yes.
right, what do we got? What? Oh, you didn't remove the Knicks because we're gonna get them again, or we're gonna get the Magic. Oh, you got lucky.
Orlando Magic.
Okay, Magic. So, Magic's staying afloat. They're 7-6 right now. They've won four in a row, even without Paolo Banchero.
Mhm.
Um, and the only reason why I was going to give them a three, I think now I'm feeling more like a two, is the only reason because they don't have Paolo Banchero.
Yeah.
But they're still winning basketball games. So something Franz Wagner's looking great. Mo Wagner off the benches look good. Um, Kind of quiet. Jalen Suggs is quiet. I don't know how he's doing. Assuming if it's quiet, that means he's doing fine. So,
KCP has struggled
uh,
a little bit over there.
oh yeah, KCP's over there. Yeah, but you're winning basketball games. You're third seed right now in the East. Just do what you can until you get Paolo back, and you can go back to looking like you were before we said that he was going to be in the MVP talks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say like did I say two? I'd say two or three, two.
Yeah, I'll throw the Magic at a two. It would be a one if Paolo were healthy. They've looked really
Yeah.
good so far this year. And I think, aside from them looking good, I think when you look at how the 76ers, the Bucks, even the Knicks have started, I bet this team thinks we could make it maybe to the conference finals if we have like a really,
Mhm.
really good series against the Cavs or Celtics. Because those are clearly the top two in the East right now. But I see no reason why they couldn't be a third seed come playoff time or the third best team in the East come playoff time, assuming they have healthy Paolo Banchero back by then. And that's a great spot for this team to be at because this team is just they're doing the rebuild right. They were not in the playoffs, and then they were in the playoffs, lost in the first round. Now, if they can make the second round this year, like that would be huge, and just keep advancing from there. A lot of good pieces here. Paolo's clearly a guy. Franz, I think, can be a good number two, and then the Jalen Suggs and John Isaacs and Wendell Carter's of the world, I think, are just all fitting in nicely on this team. So, not super worried, only because Paolo's health. I hope they don't lose a bunch of regular season games because of that.
Yeah. All right, we've got three teams left,
The final three.
and two of them are red. Oh, one's a little darker red. All right, Phoenix.
Phoenix.
This
Yeah,
is for you.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna one for the Suns. I'm not worried. They've looked really good to start the year. The pieces that they acquired, Tyus Jones, Monte Morris, Russell Neal has looked pretty good for them as well this year. I know they didn't acquire him; he was already there. Bradley Beal, welcome back to being a good NBA player. Happy to see it. Ryan Dunn, we mentioned earlier, has looked pretty good as kind of that defensive wing on that roster for them. Yeah, great start to the season. Kevin Durant will be out for a couple weeks. Luckily, it's not a super long-term injury, but yeah, this is what you wanted to see last year, so I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, I'm at a one as well. I would be at a zero if not for injury. Just like worried about injuries, to Beal, Book, and KD, but also Yusuf Nurkic is still your starting center. So I can't give you a zero for that. And Drew Eubanks is backing him up, and I mean, he's fine. Doesn't look super great.
Yeah.
But I mean, even with all of that, they're 9-2 right now, second in the West, tied with the Warriors. Crazy to say. So my prediction of the Suns being pretty good is looking pretty good.
Is looking good. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That's the only thing looking good for me. Everything else is not as much. But yeah, I'm not worried about the Suns.
Yeah.
It was cool to see them in person.
All right.
Pacers, Nuggets. NBA Cup preview, perhaps? Kidding. All right, Indiana Pacers. This is an interesting team. I probably would have given them like a 4 if you asked me this a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
I'd say more. I'm at a 3 now just because they have been winning games, although they still don't have Isaiah Jackson and James Wiseman they lost.
yeah.
Um, so it's just Miles Turner, and then who's backing up Miles Turner?
Couldn't tell
James
you.
Johnson.
Let's
55
James
year
Johnson's
old James
hilarious.
Johnson. Um,
Based on this game, and it's basically what I thought, the game they just played today against the Magic, Obi
yeah,
Toppin running their backup center.
and I hate that. I really don't like that.
Yeah.
Obi
But
Toppin's
Jarris
a good.
Walker got 23 minutes, so now he kind of fills in that backup four spot, which is nice.
That's good to see. But yeah, Pacers are winning basketball games again. It was
They
just a
played
weird.
Johnny Furphy 9 minutes.
Cool. Didn't they lost though today, right, to the Magic?
To the Magic. Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, Magic are a good team. So I'm not like worried about the Pacers losing to them. And again, all the injuries on both sides, it's fine. Benedict Mathurin has been looking better than the beginning of the year. Tyrese Halliburton, I think, is doing better. I haven't watched super recently. He did really well against the Mavericks in that game I mentioned earlier, where like the Mavericks should have won, but the Pacers came back and won. So um Nimhart is out, I think, actually. I think I
Yeah.
read that somewhere. So even without Nimhart, they got a win. So, I would say a 3 just because of injuries stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And they still have a losing record. So,
Yeah, I would say a 3-2 because it looked pretty bad to start the year. It hasn't looked great, but like you mentioned, they have pulled out some wins, which is always a good thing. Beating the Knicks, Magic, they actually beat a couple weeks or about a week ago. Um, they got blown out by the Hornets, so that's not great. And they lost to the Pelicans, also not great. Those are teams you should be beating. But yeah, the Pacers, they're on the up and up. It was scary to start the year. I was very worried about that team, but they seem to be coming into form now. Benedict Mathurin, you mentioned, looking good. Nice to see him back on the court. Um, no Neesmith in this game against the Magic either, so I don't know what's going on there. But when they have all their guys, I think it'll look better. It's just, tough start to the year, which happens sometimes.
yeah. All
And
right.
finally,
Last but not least.
the Nuggets. I erased them. I guess I'll type them back on here. The Nuggets. So, if you asked me this question a couple weeks ago, I'd have said, "Man, I'm at like a 5. This is looking
Hmm.
really bad." The Nuggets have really turned it around. They are sitting at 7-3 after a sus start to the year. They have gone on to beat the Jazz, the Raptors, the Thunder, beat the Thunder, the Heat, and the Mavericks. So they're on a pretty good win streak right now. And Jokic has looked like an absolute monster. He's honestly looking like an MVP. If they gave it to him a fourth time, I'd be like, what can I say? He looks so good. He looks so good right now. You know who looked good against the Thunder? Russell Westbrook. Shout out. He's looked pretty bad a lot of games. So when you have a good game, I gotta shout you out for that one. Um, no, yeah, I mean they're looking good. They had the injuries. Aaron Gordon, I think, is still out for them. Big piece, obviously, but they've really rebounded right now. So I'm gonna put them in a 2. Not that panicked because Jokic is looking awesome and carrying them to wins. And I mean he's in my opinion still the best player in the NBA. So
Yeah. I'm also at a 2. But I really hate that Jokic won MVP last year because he looks like the MVP this year. I really hate. I don't think he should go. Oh, I'm not gonna get into it right now.
if you told
Um,
me who to vote for right now, I'd have a hard time picking anyone else. That's
I
all I'm
well,
saying.
I know, no, I agree. But last year, I feel like it obviously what to me it wasn't. Anyways, it should have been Luca last year because he's obviously not MVP right now. Anyways, I digress. I mean, loopy. Yeah, I'm at a 2. Russell Westbrook had that really great game against the Thunder. Peyton Watson got a killer block against Shea, I think, or on like the game-winning shot. So, they had a few close calls. Barely beat the Raptors again and it's not an overtime. But they have turned it around. They beat some really good teams, and yeah, they're on a 5 game win streak right now. I wouldn't be too worried about them. I think just when you get back Aaron Gordon, keep the train rolling like you are, and be ready for in the playoffs.
Man, Jokic is averaging 30, 14, and 12.
See MVP numbers.
That's crazy. Those are uh those are all career highs, by the
Yeah,
way.
because I and it makes total sense because they lost so many people this
That's
like
nuts. That's a
yeah.
great
Can you take away an MVP and give it to somebody else and then give him to him this year? Anyways, I know it's so early. I'm
shooting
just obsessed.
56% from three.
Is he 50, 40, 90?
He is not. He's shooting 84% from the line.
Yeah, that's the easiest one too. Anyways.
He's a
All
center.
right.
They're not great shooters.
Are you he's 56% from three.
You
He's
got
not
me
a good
there.
shooter.
You got
He's
me
not a
there. What
good
can I say?
shooter. Come on. All right.
Uh,
Well, that's our panic meter.
that's the panic. That's year two of the panic meter. Hopefully that was a blast for you guys.
That was fun. That was really fun. And again, I'm gonna say it one more time. We know our stuff this year. Last year, I was like, I really couldn't tell you about this team. I don't know
You're
anything.
like, I don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't
I
know
mentioned
anything
a
about that
player.
thing.
You're like, who? Who's that?
You're like, and then the players that you mentioned, if I didn't know, never heard of, that's okay. I don't feel bad. It's
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So, yeah, this was our panic meter. I hope you enjoyed listening
I
to
like the
that.
fast pacedness of it.
I do too. It's a very quick cut, and it's we bounce off each other too, like back and forth, which is fun.
Somebody
It's not just
somebody wants
one
to
of us.
cut these, make some shorts, and we can throw them up on the channel. Get some engagement, you know.
Yeah, you can do that.
Any listener that is listening and wants to do
Oh, any listener that wants to do that, yeah, sure. I have no time. Anyone but me.
anyone but us.
Anyone but us. Oh my God. But yeah, thanks again for listening to this. We had a lot of fun doing this, and we'll get one more out before I go to Lithuania.
Oh, we will.
Um, yeah, because we have to we no we
It'll,
got to do the
we got to
jerseys. We
do the
have to.
jerseys before
We
you go. We
have
gotta.
to. We have to. We have to.
Jared
If
can't wait that
people
long.
want it, the people want it. All right, take the shot. Take the shot. Let's see what we got here. Okay, that was off.
I don't even know where that went. Yeah,
Were
that was
you what are
great.
you shooting like Luka Doncic at the end of the Warriors
Yeah.
Mavericks game yesterday? Come on.
Ew,
Hey.
ew.
Yeah, thanks again for listening. We really appreciate it. And until next time, this has been Two Man Game with Damon and Dom.
Buckets.